Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
John, welcome back to Discovery Watch.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back on Discovery Watch.
John, Osisko Metals is one of the few juniors that have seen a price increase since the March PDAC conference. What's helping Osisko buck the trend?
Well, Osisko Metals has been under selling pressure since the Q4 of last year, when Vanguard decided that it wanted to reduce its exposure to the resource sector, and it had considerable exposure to Osisko Metals. And so this selling has persisted even after the PDAC, and it drove the stock as low as 47 cents. And Bob Wares, who is the chairman of Osisko Metals, who had a huge payout in August last year when South 32 bought out Arizona Mining for $2.1 billion at $6.20. He has been a steady buyer in the open market since about mid-August, and during which he's bought 6.2 million shares, soaking it up out of the market, and he now owns 13.4 million shares. But the big turning point was April the 3rd, when he bought 1.2 million shares at 50 cents, and then 2 weeks later, he sold that at 51 cents to La Caisse de Depot, which is the big Quebec financial institution. And since then, it seems that this overhang of persistent selling is gone, and the stock has been trending up ever since. And Bob Wares has been still in the market buying shares of Osisko Metals. Now, they put out several news releases in the past couple of months. One of them that is fairly important, but it's one of these long-winded metallurgical type of news releases that probably makes most readers' eyes glaze over. It was about how the latest studies on pre-concentration methods have demonstrated that X-ray transmission material sorting, which also known as XRT, can get rid of half the waste rock from the Pine Point zinc lead ore. And this is really important because the Pine Point system consists of 100 distinct Mississippi Valley type of deposits, all small deposits along a 70-kilometer belt of reef carbonates in the Northwest Territories. And Cominco, which mined this from 1965 until 1988, did a grid drilling program of over 10,000 holes to find these small deposits, and open pit mined 50 of them. It cherry-picked the ones where the zinc-lead grade averaged 10%. And then they quit in 1988 to go after develop the Red Dog project, which is, an absolutely off-the-scale, world-class zinc-lead system. So what Osisko Metals has done is acquired this project, and it says, okay, these remaining 50 deposits that sort of average 5 to 7% zinc lead, we can make this work. And the pre-concentration is important because they plan to put a crusher and the XRT sorter, or whatever technology they choose, right to the edge of the pit and crush it and sort it and haul the ore, half the ore with the other waste half that they can get rid of, back into the pit. So this saves them the cost of hauling from all these scattered pits to the central milling facility this ore, and also having to haul the waste, the tailings and that, back to the pit to dump into it. So this is a very important development, that they can cut the waste in half and only lose 10% of the zinc in recovery terms. But this is not really what's been driving the uptrend. There were several news releases where they the headlined intersections that were over 20% zinc, and you sort of say, wow, that's a lot better than the 5 to 7% that is supposedly what Cominco left behind. Except that in most of the cases, it is not, because they are systematically re-drilling all the leftover deposits to support a resource estimate. They put out a partial one for 38.5 million tons at 4.6% zinc and 1.9% lead in December. And they originally were hoping to have the rest of it done by the last quarter, but I'm now hearing that they could have it out by early in the third quarter, and that's with an extra more than 600 holes beyond the 300 that went into the resource estimate. So it is very likely that they will clear their hurdle of 50 million tons. And then the project is supposed to shift into the feasibility demonstration, of which this XRT sorting news release is part of. But the high grades that they have intersected, in some cases when it was deeper, it was actually something new, because Cominco only drilled to 75-meter depth because they just wanted to have these small, shallow, open pits. Osisko Metals is drilling deeper, and so they have snagged some additional high-grade material that Cominco would have overlooked, but those would just be incremental changes. The potential for a substantial change will start in June. They have already done a LiDAR survey over the entire property, and the LiDAR survey measures topographical changes in the elevation, and this data can be used to identify subtle depressions. Now, these deposits form when the limestone host rock gets rotted out by fluid flow and then ends up being filled up with zinc-lead massive sulfides, and what you get is a subtle settling of this rotted out area that's been filled with zinc lead. Now, this doesn't have to be filled with zinc lead massive sulfides to create a depression. This technology was not available to Cominco back in the even in the early 80s, so it is new technology. They've done this. They won't tell us how many such depressions they have found that aren't associated with the known deposits that they have been drilling off, but they are right about to start a gravity survey over the entire property on airborne 250-meter spacing, and a gravity survey measures relative density. So if you have these sort of openings, caves in the limestone that ended up filling up with massive sulfides, this gravity survey will detect that here is an area of denser material. And where you have these topographical depressions overlapping with a gravity high, that is a good place for a zinc-lead Mississippi Valley type deposit to exist. Now, they will, once they've done all that, they will go in there and drill these targets during the summer. And what we are hoping for is that some of these come up with a bigger size than the smaller ones that are generally part of their resource estimate, but also get up there in that 10% plus combined zinc-lead grade. And you know, Cominco cherry-picked all the high-grade stuff, and the fact that they were going to be stuck mining the other 50 lower-grade ones was part of the decision to abandon Pine Point and move over to Red Dog. But if Osisko Metals this summer is successful in finding additional bodies overlooked by Cominco's grid drilling program that run a high grade, it could front-load the mining plan with these deposits. And with zinc in the $1.20 to $1.30 per pound range, and Shanghai and LME warehouse stocks pretty much at the same low level as in 2008 when zinc was at $2 a pound, there is a very good chance that with the 5 to 6% average grade that they're looking at, this project will be worth developing. But the upside for discovery watchers is that if they can put higher grade pits at the very front, that has a substantial impact on the net present value of the operation. So this could be why the stock is also trending up. The Vanguard overhang is gone. There's been, success with the pre-concentration studies, and now we are heading into a season where they could actually deliver something brand new about the Pine Point system that could make it much more valuable than is the basic working assumption of Jeff Hussey and his team at the company.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the Pink's CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and Canada. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, Newmont Gold Corp agreed this week to invest $17.6 million into GT Gold. Is this a boost for the Golden Triangle?
It certainly is a boost, and it's also a boost for the junior sector to see that now that Gold Corp has been absorbed into Newmont, the resulting company is aggressively looking at the juniors for new opportunities, which wasn't really something that Newmont on its own was famous for. So they're buying 11.5 million flow-through shares at $1.53, and that's a 78% premium to the prior day's closing of 86 cents. And so this 17.6 million combined with what they have left over from last year gives them a war chest of $20 million to continue exploring the Tatoga project in the Golden Triangle. So last year, they had a big play in October. The stock jumped to over $2 when drilling of the North Saddle target revealed that they have a fairly good grade copper-gold porphyry system similar to the Red Chris deposit that Imperial Metals mines to the in that Golden Triangle area. The stock, however, collapsed in late November, partly due to the general downtrend in the market, but also due to the seasonality of this region where you really don't want to do a winter program because of steep topography and lots of snow. So that's sort of the seasonal aspect of the Golden Triangle. That's a big negative. But in early March, the area got a big boost when the Australian gold producer Newcrest paid $806 million to acquire a 70% interest in Red Chris. And they're not there for the remainder of the open pit portion, which mines a lower grade of gold and copper. They're after the richer gold copper mineralization at depth. And this deal wipes out Imperial's debt and brings Newcrest block caving skills to bear. So now to see Newmont Gold Corp go into the Tatoga project and be willing to spend more money on the North Saddle project as well as the South Saddle, which was the focus of market excitement in 2017, it overcomes two sort of core criticisms. One is that the South Saddle, which is an epithermal gold-silver high-grade system, doesn't really hang together sufficiently to allow underground mining. The second knock came last year when an anonymous geologist became very angry about how excited the market was about the North Saddle discovery, claiming that the high grades are all at depth. You're never going to be able to open pit that, and nobody needs another Red Chris style deposit in this part of the world with mediocre open pit gold copper grades. So the Newcrest acquisition of 70% of Red Chris, and now the Newmont Gold Corp investment at a premium to give them 9.9% of GT Gold, that is a really big boost for this area. And this week we also saw finally a turnaround in what was a really disgusting bout of egomania last year that killed another Discovery Watch company called Colorado Resources. As you may remember, in 2017, when GT Gold made the South Saddle discovery on this Tatoga property, one of the directors of Colorado wanted to option the Castle Kinaskin project, which was not a priority for Colorado at the time, but it is across the river valley from Tatoga in an area where there is interesting potential. And the belief is that there is a mineralizing system with an east-west trend, of which the Castle Kinaskin project is the continuation. And when this other company had a chance to do it earlier in the year and couldn't get their act together and get it done, when the news came out that Tatoga was something substantial and that company suddenly wanted to do it again, Adam Travis said no. So the rest of the board went on a corporate governance witch hunt to find stuff that he did that wasn't really supposed to be done, and they mounted a giant proxy battle and ended up kicking him out and putting in another no-skin-in-the-game custodian as the CEO. And at the time, Colorado in late 2017 had about $3 million left, most of which came from Goldcorp, and they did spend some of that money on 6,000 meters of drilling last year, but there was nothing to write home about in Colorado, as always happens when the founder gets kicked out by cranky Bay Street types with no real skin in the game. Colorado basically became a dead company. It had no money left, in fact had negative working capital. So this week, the no skin in the game management capitulated, handed the keys to Adam Travis by agreeing to acquire a private company called Buckingham, of which he is the principal. And Buckingham has two projects. One is north of the Chemis area, but the other one, called the Moat, turns out to be that sort of valley strip between the Tatoga project and the Castle Kinaskin. And Colorado will have to issue about 12 million shares to acquire this Buckingham company, which also, for the deal to close, has to raise $2.5 million at 10 cents. So that's 25 million share financing. And if this all comes together, the focus will be on the Castle Kinaskin Moat project immediately to the west of the Tatoga project. So this is good timing, both these coming together. We will have an important focus in this northern part of the Golden Triangle, one with the potential to deliver something similar to what we already have in Tatoga. And, of course, with $20 million in the treasury, GT Gold will be able to advance that project in a very substantial manner in 2019.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Grand Portage Resources recently completed the 2018 drill program on its 100% controlled Herbert Gold Discovery property located in the prolific Juneau Belt in southeast Alaska. Drill results are expected through late 2018. Past drill results included numerous multi-ounce gold assays on multiple veins. Grand Portage trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp, MGI and the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected several high-grade gold intersections, including 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. Additional drill targets on the LH property have been identified by a 2018 drone airborne magnetic survey to further evaluate a pyrrhotite-enriched gold-bearing system. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Discovery Watch counts on money going into the ground to deliver new discoveries, but the resource junior financing drought is not making it easy to watch for discoveries. However, last week, Forum Energy Metals announced a farm-out deal with Rio Tinto on its Janus Lake copper project. Is Forum now in the running to deliver a discovery?
Jim, I have to admit that I was very intrigued by this deal. Forum Energy used to be called Forum Uranium. Rick Mazer, who is a uranium geologist, took charge in 2005 and steered the company into the Athabasca Basin. He brought Ken Wheatley along as VP Exploration, and they have raised along with partners in that, they have spent $50 million on all these different half dozen or so uranium prospects, and this would have been good work done. That's $50 million worth of data. But as we know, since Fukushima, the uranium sector has been dead, in part because of the Germany quitting nuclear energy, the Japanese reactors taking forever to come back online, utility destocking, and of course Kazakhstan coming on stream with in-situ leach supply, which is not constrained by any environmental considerations as it would be elsewhere in the world, has just clobbered the uranium price. In the past couple of weeks, it's back below $25 a pound for spot, and the long-term contracts are $25 to $30 a pound. And at that price, even the best deposits in the Athabasca Basin aren't worth developing. In fact, Cameco has shut down McArthur River so that it isn't wasting this high-value ore during this period of depressed prices. So in 2018, as this bear market wore on, Rick Mazer decided, well, we cannot raise any more money exploring for unconformity-style deposits that really aren't worth developing until there is an increase in the uranium price. So he said, well, but let's stick to the energy theme. Let's rename this company Forum Energy Metals and look for these so-called energy metals such as copper. And a short time later, Forum optioned the Janus Lake project from Transition Metals Corp. Now, Transition Metals is headed by Scott McLean, and it is one of those really hardcore prospect generator farm-out companies that are always putting their projects into subsidiaries and then spinning them out or doing farm-outs. And poor Scott has to sit there and watch his stock be ignored, even though in the long run he's building up a portfolio of value that is pretty much invisible to the market. So he did a fairly easy deal with Forum. Forum can have 100% for 8 million shares, 250,000 cash, and just 250,000 expiration. And Forum took the original 3,000 hectares and expanded it to 18,000 hectares to cover everything of what it sees as this basin that is prospective for sediment-hosted stratiform copper systems. And so that was about 30 kilometers of strike to the northeast. And this is in Saskatchewan. It's southeast of the Athabasca Basin. There's a power line that goes right through the property. The project was actually discovered in the 60s by a group which drilled a bunch of winky holes, but was not really explored until the 90s when Noranda explored it between 1993 and 97, drilled about 35 holes, and then they dropped it, and then Phelps Dodge came along, and it drilled in 2003, and it drilled 6 holes, and then got taken over by Freeport McMoran, and Freeport had no interest in pursuing this, so these claims sat there. They lapsed in 2012. Scott, of course, who watches all these existing systems for these types of lapses, he went in there and promptly staked it in 2012, sat on it for all these years, and then finally found a buyer in the form of Forum Energy. Now, this system is a sediment-hosted stratiform copper system. It is Proterozoic aged. It is it forms in a sedimentary basin where when you have fluid flow coming in and encountering a horizon which causes which has the right chemical receptivity for the metals to drop out. The most famous of this kind are the African Central Copper Belt style deposits. Kamoa Kakula is an absolutely fantastic example of this, but it's in the Congo. This is in Saskatchewan. A closer analog might be the Udokan deposit. That's 1.4 billion tons of 1% copper and about 15 grams per ton silver. And the problem with that deposit is that it's still intact. It's a flat-lying system. It averages 25, 30 meter in thickness, and all of its resource sits under this mountain. The Soviets found it ages ago. Apparently, they even considered to remove the mountain with a nuclear bomb, just blow it up and then get at the copper. But common sense prevailed, and this was not done. And but they are now trying to develop this as an underground mine. When Rick Mazer took this on, he said, okay, can we establish 100 million tons of 0.4 to 0.6% copper in these shallow dipping beds and basically open pit mine this? And with the wonderful infrastructure location, it shouldn't be that tough a threshold to pass. And they drilled 4 holes last year, mainly to confirm the grades from the historical work and to obtain some fresh core, because most of the Noranda core from the 90s had all disintegrated and fallen apart. But the market did not care. The company was out of money. They have this large shareholder, Holy Stone Energy, which is a Shanghai-based fund, which was there for the uranium and not too pleased with the change in direction. So that group owns 10 million. But then they brought on board a new group with a big financing, 11 million units at 5 cents, a UK group, and this group headed by Burns Tennant Bohe. He's kind of a base metals bug. He thinks copper, and that's going to go way up. He's now backing the company, but still they had $300,000 left. What are you going to do with a play like this? This is a play which requires systematic drilling. Yes, they can get over 1% copper, and they do have a silver, sort of half-ounce silver credit in there. But this requires a lot of money to delineate a system and demonstrate that the tonnage and grade are there to support the shift to feasibility demonstration. So the company was kind of stuck. And so last week, this Rio Tinto deal that showed up completely changed the fortunes of the company. The stock has blipped a bit, but it's sort of faded away. In basic terms, Rio can earn 60% by spending $10 million over 4 years, and then go to or 65%, and then go to 80% by spending another $20 million. So my first reaction was, okay, 20% net after 7 years, $30 million investment. Then you're going to have to cough up 20% of the feasibility demonstration cost, and you're going to end up being diluted. This is not a good deal for the junior. But then I ended up looking a little closer, and I realized that the first 18 months has a firm commitment for $3 million. And I said, well, that's interesting. That takes Rio only to 30% of its 4-year commitment, and that's a lot of money over the next 18 months. And we are in the worst resource sector bear market for juniors ever. So this is something really good. In a sense, Forum is actually renting the project to Rio Tinto, and will get at the minimum $3 million worth of exploration. And then when I talked to Rick, he told me that I asked, why is this property now extending to the south, 52 kilometers? And he said during the 2 months of negotiations with Rio Tinto, they came to him and said, we would like you to add another 20 kilometers of claims to the southwest of the package that you already have, which was a bit of a head-scratcher for Rick, because he thought they pretty much understood what the maximum extent of this basin was, but Rio Tinto has done its own homework and thinks that it's even going farther to the south. So we have a 50-kilometer strike to this basin. They basically own it all. This is never going to be a Great Canadian Area play. And Rio Tinto is doing the first thing it's going to do is an airborne magnetic survey, because the horizon in which the copper piles up, it has a mafic component compared to the more felsic nature of the sediments surrounding us. It's like a jelly in the layer in a sandwich. And they believe that by doing the magnetic survey, they'll be able to see where these potentially copper-rich trends are. And then there'll be some drilling will also be done done this year. So they will have this survey done. They'll be drilling 25 to 30 holes. These will all be shallow holes, but these will likely be scout drilling holes. And clearly, Rio Tinto is taking the view that we're not here for 100 million tons of 0.4 to 0.6%. We're here probably for something 5 times bigger, maybe 500 million plus tons. So this $3 million is going to be that kind of set the geological context to begin the vectoring process to home in on where is the ore. And to have a major fund, $3 million for this type of stuff, that is a very good thing for a junior, because it's impossible in this market to get that kind of capital from ordinary investors who still hoping for like the barn burner discovery hole that makes everything afterwards easy. So this deal is part of like a whole, whole group of majors coming back into these juniors and cherry picking and looking for size. There's sort of a similarity with when BHP put up that $5.6 million investment at a premium in Midland to get a ringside seat at the Mithril project. Again, that's a big system play too, where Midland has 30 kilometers of what appears to be interesting package of rocks that has potential for this previously unrecognized copper type of mineralization. In the case of Janus Lake in Saskatchewan, this has been recognized, but it has been only seen as something with 6 to 4 kilometer area. That's been the focus of all historical drilling. And now Rio Tinto comes along and says, this is a really, really big region. The setting is 50 kilometers by 10 kilometers, and we're going to take a crack at the whole thing to see if there is a world-class copper-silver sediment-hosted copper system in this part of Saskatchewan.
John, thanks a lot for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.